Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So today on our meeting 9, yeah, about academic listening, we are going to further move to our material related to comparing cultures. Okay, so before we start, let's open this meeting by reciting basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so let's get started. So, guys, on today's meeting, we are going to have several or variety or various aims, yeah, language related to culture across the world, and then language, food, and then constructing, comparing contrast. I mean, identifying categories, collocation with several words that always happen in such a conversation and informal context of conversation or communication, and then short answer question and multiple choice question, and all of them are related to the cultures. Yeah, so you are going to listen to several dialogue, monologue, and a conversation in a form of conversation. I mean, the talk and discuss about culture around or across the world. It's related to its language, yeah, specifically and mostly about the language, and then the food, the custom, and then the hosting, yeah, including, and then the was it the traditional art, for example, and then the society and also the culture around the world. Okay, that's it. Let's move on to the another slide. Okay, guys, for a starter or starting point, I provide you with a mini quiz, yeah, related to the word puzzle, and then you have to answer this word puzzle by answering the across question and also the down question. So you have to match it with the picture, yeah, as the direction said so. Use the pictures above and the clues to complete the word puzzle. Okay? Best of luck because all of them are related to our topic today about comparing cultures. Okay. Okay, guys, so on this slide, you are going to practice your listening related to comparing cultures. So I have provided you with track audio started from audio 27 to 30. So you have to listen to each audio, and so you have to follow the instruction carefully in order to answer the question accurately and properly. Okay, guys, so we going we are going to start it with track audio number 27. Best of luck.
Track 27. Conversation A. Hey Mick, have you ever been to Thailand?
Yeah, I was there last year. Why'd you ask?
Well, I'm thinking of doing a project on Asian food and was wondering whether Thai food was the same as Chinese.
Oh, right. Thai food's not exactly the same as Chinese, but they both have a really healthy diet with lots of vegetables. Some of the dishes are pretty hot and spicy though.
Conversation B.
Hi, Tony. Do you have a moment?
Sure. What's it about?
Well, I'm researching types of homes across the world, and I thought I'd ask you where people live in Australia.
Sure. Which part of Australia are you thinking about? I mean, there are blocks of flats in most cities, the same as anywhere else in the world. Conversation C.
Hi, Barbara. How's your Japanese language project going?
It's great. I'm learning about the Japanese alphabet at the moment. And what about your project about China? How many languages do they speak?
Well, there's Mandarin Chinese and at least another 10 varieties of Chinese from different regions.
Wow, that's amazing.
Conversation D.
Amira, I'm doing a project on traditional clothing. Do you have any in the Emirates?
Oh yes, we do. The typical dress for women is called an abaya. It's basically a long black dress, but we decorate it with gold patterns around the sleeves and neck. It's usually made of a kind of silk. Look at this one here. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's lovely.
Track 28. I'm trying to find out if people from northern countries have the same attitudes to talking to strangers in public as people from southern countries.
OK, so what have you found out?
Well, I found out that in some countries it's more common to talk in public than in others. For example, people in the UK and Holland don't usually talk to people they don't know, but the Italians and the Spanish seem to be much more open. They chat to people on buses, in shops, in restaurants.
So, do you think that people from the south of Europe are friendlier than northern Europeans?
Well, it does look that way. Even in the same country. I mean, for example, in comparison with Italians from the north of Italy, the Italians in the south chat much more to each other in public.
It does sound interesting. Well, that's fine. I think you've found a good topic.
Track 29.
Hi, Barbara. Why don't you join our group? We're going to give a presentation about what we eat at each meal in our home countries.
Oh, great. I love finding out about other cultures. So, where do we start? Breakfast? In the UK, we have cereal, toast, eggs, and tea or coffee for breakfast. Have you got that, Mina?
Yes, but breakfast in India is completely different. We have a lot of different kinds of breakfast across India, but mostly we eat some type of bread with lentils.
Oh, is that right? In China, we have tea with noodles or rice and vegetables for breakfast. So, what do you have for lunch, Barbara?
Well, you know, in the UK, we don't usually have a big lunch. We usually just have a sandwich. But it's different in India, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I don't like sandwiches at all. We have rice and vegetables for lunch in India.
Yeah, we have a cooked meal at lunchtime too. We usually have noodle soup and the main course.
We have our main meal in the evening in the UK as well. Quite often we have chicken, meat or fish with potatoes and vegetables.
Track 30.
Hi, Mina. Shall we have a look at the material for our presentation on marriage customs?
Yeah, sure. I've got a lot of information about India. How about you?
Yes. I've got material about marriage in the Emirates. Shall we get going? What about meeting? How do people in India meet in the first place?
In traditional Indian families, the parents used to arrange the marriage, and the couple used to meet for the first time when the boy visited the girl's house. But that's changed now.
Yeah, we used to have arranged marriages in the Emirates too. Did the groom have to give anything to the bride's family? I mean, did they give them a gift or money?
Well, in India, in the old days, the girl's family used to give the boy's family a gift, like money or jewelry, but it's not allowed anymore.
Wow, in my country, the groom still has to pay all the expenses. Have there been any changes in marriage customs in India in recent years?
Well, yes. I found an article about special websites for finding partners. It says that because so many young people from India study abroad these days, their families are using websites to find marriage partners for them.
Oh, okay. And where does the couple live when they get married?
That's another thing that's changing. In the past, the bride used to go to live with the family of the groom. But these days, more and more young couples are setting up their own homes independently. What about the Emirates?
Track 31. Section 3. You will hear two students discussing a project on international festivals with their tutor. First, in the exam, you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 1 and 2. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 and 2.
Good morning. Shall we start by looking at the topic of your project? So, what have you decided to research?
Well, we thought we'd compare festivals in different countries and see if any of them are similar.
Yeah, you know, like the carnival celebrations in South America and the water festival in Thailand.
OK. What exactly are you planning to study? The origins of the festivals? The types of celebration? People's attitudes towards the festivals?
We were planning to look at the origins of the festivals and the time of year they're celebrated. We're thinking of looking at the connection between the seasons in different countries and the actual festivals, and then looking for similarities between countries that are quite far apart.
Well, that sounds interesting. Did you say you've already started researching into the carnival?
Yes. We've already found a connection between the carnival and the seasons. For instance, some researchers say that a very long time ago in Europe, people used to put on colourful masks and costumes at the beginning of the year to celebrate the end of winter, and then they could get ready for spring. Before you hear the next part of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 3 to 5. Track 32. Listen carefully and answer questions 3 to 5.
Right. And then what happened?
Well, as the years went by, the purpose of the carnival changed and it became a religious festival. These days, there are big carnival celebrations in countries all across the world, like Brazil and India and Indonesia. But an interesting thing we discovered is that in some countries, people celebrate the carnival by throwing water at each other in the street. Well, we thought that obviously this is because carnival's celebrated at the hottest time of the year, just before the rainy season. So splashing people with water is a very good way of cooling them down.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, in the exam you will have 20 seconds to look at questions 6 to 10. Track 33. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Yes, that makes sense. Did you look into any other festivals?
Yes, we did. What we're planning to do is more research into water festivals. We found that in Asian countries, where there aren't any carnival celebrations, there are still festivals that involve people splashing each other with water. Actually, we found references to them in Burma, Thailand, Vietnam, China, and Japan. But we also found a reference to a water festival in Mexico. So we thought we'd look into that a bit more and see if we can find any similarities between these countries. We realised that water is more than just a way of cooling people down in hot weather. It also has a lot of different religious meanings and purposes. For instance, we found that in some societies, water can mean life or wealth or just luck.
Yes, and another thing we found out is that these water festivals often celebrate the beginning of the new year, just like the original celebrations hundreds of years ago before the carnival. So, up to now, we found that the carnival and the seasons are linked by ancient traditions, and that water plays an important part in the celebrations.
That is the end of section 3. In the exam, you will have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, guys, after you listen to the track audio number 27, you will hear for conversation between students discussing their project on world cultures. Circle the topic to each conversation from the keywords in the word map. So you have to circle the topic that discuss on the topic A, yeah. Oh, sorry, conversation A, I mean, and then the topic on conversation B, the topic on conversation C, and the last topic on conversation D. So you have to guess each conversation topic. Yeah, so you have to answer all of them correct. Good luck. Okay, guys, for this exercise, you have to listen to the audio track 27 again. Yeah, listen again the audio and write in your notebook any words from the word maps that are mentioned. You have to guess 8 words that are mentioned on the track 27 from 4 conversation. Yeah, so you have to complete. So you have to fill number 1, 2, 3, 4 until 8 that related to these word maps. Best of luck. So guys, before you listen to the next track, track number 28, you have to pay attention to this material, listening for comparisons and contrasts. Actually, comparisons and contrasts are two different word, yeah, in which have different meaning as well. Compare means to look at things to see how they are similar and how they are different. I mean, in terms of comparing something, you have to discuss its similarity and also its differences. Meanwhile, contrast, I mean, means to look at things to see how they are different specifically. So comparison and contrast are different. Yeah. Compare meaning you have to discuss two aspect or 2 points in terms of its similarity and differences. Meanwhile, or whereas, contrast is actually depend or specifically focus only on its differences. Okay? So you have to be ready to listen to track number 28. Okay, guys, so on this track 28, you are going to listen to a conversation between a tutor, and a student about a project. So you have to underline the comparing and contrasting that spoken or that being emphasized within the conversation. Best of luck. Okay, before you move to the next track, track 29, you have to pay attention to this material related to multiple choice matching information. In this type of question, you will have to match information in the recording with different speakers. You have to choose from several options, but you will not hear them in the same order as they appear on the question set. Make sure you read all the option before you listen to the recording. So as we always discuss, yeah, before you listen to a conversation, to the audio, to a monologue, you have to some minutes or several minutes to check the question first in order to know the topic is being discussed specifically. Okay? I think you are going to listen, yeah, to track number 29 now on. Let's get started. Okay, guys, for this one, yeah, related to a, what is it? Matching information material, yeah, you will hear 3 people discussing eating habits in their home countries. Actually, this exercise is included in track 29. You have to listen to the audio, but before you listen to the audio, you have to check the question first. Yeah, the instruction here is you have to choose 3 letters, A to G, and listen carefully for the relevant part of the conversation. So you have to match the country where they eat this food for lunch. Yeah, actually, the countries that are mentioned on the track 29 are one in the UK, in the India, and the last one in China. Best of luck. Okay, guys, for the last track 30, yeah, you have to listen to students comparing marriage customs in their countries and choose A, B, or C. So, track 30 here is related to the multiple choice test, yeah. So, you have to guess A, B, or C as the correct answer. And then you have to listen to the audio carefully. And before that, you have to check the question first in order to answer the question properly and accurately. Okay, guys, so there are four questions here. The first one is, in traditional Indian families, the bride and groom used to meet for the first time at the blah blah blah. You have to answer whether the question had to make an answer A, B, or C. Yeah. And second one, in India, the father of the bride used to give the A, B, or C. And then recently, it has become popular for Indian families to blah 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 blah. And then the last one, these days in India, more and more married couples live. Yeah. So this married custom are related to the Indian no Indian Hindi culture in specific India, yeah. And you have to answer this following four question accurately. Okay, guys, best of luck. Okay, guys, so for the next exercise, you have to watch, yeah, and listen carefully to a exercise, yeah, related to the comparing culture, but specifically in this audio or on this exercise, you will be assigned to a topic entitled cultures and society. So you have to listen, yeah, and watch the video as well, and you have to answer the following or the question written on the video. Okay, that's it. Best of luck.
Having referred briefly to the general definition of culture, I want to move on to an example of cultural research in action, a real example of what researchers into culture are doing. This is a study done in 2004 into the global teenager hypothesis. Now, the global teenager hypothesis states that the values and attitudes of teenagers all over the world have become very similar, that teenagers are part of a global culture, rather than a national or a regional one. This study investigated the subject of materialism in 3 different cultures. It asked if teenagers' attitudes to materialism were similar or different in those 3 different cultures. I'd like to go through the main points of this study because I think it demonstrates the interest and usefulness of this kind of research. The research took a sample of 556 high school students of between 14 and 17 years of age from 3 countries. The 3 countries, being also 3 differing cultures, were China, Japan, and the USA. The high schools were in medium-sized cities, and the students came from middle-class areas. There were 172 respondents from China, 168 from Japan, and 216 from the USA. The students were asked to reply to a questionnaire or survey, which consisted of 7 statements. They were asked to say if they agreed or disagreed with the statements. The questionnaire was filled in during the students' regular class time. I'll give you some examples of the statements in the questionnaire. And, by the way, if you want to look into this in further detail, I've got the reference here. Let me see. Oh yes, it's the International Journal of Consumer Studies, Volume 28, Number 4, of September 2004. The first statement was, "It is really true that money can make you happy." Respondents were asked, as they were asked about all the statements, to give their answer on a scale of 1 to 7. 1 on the scale indicated, "I strongly disagree." 4 on the scale was neutral. And 7 on the scale was, "I strongly agree." The second statement was, "My dream in life is to be able to own expensive things." And the fifth was, "Having the right possessions is the most important thing in life." Let's look at some of the results. With regard to the first statement, it was the Japanese teenagers who agreed most strongly that money could make you happy. The Americans were second, and the Chinese agreed least. However, regarding one's life dream being to own expensive things, it was American teenagers who agreed most strongly with this, and the Chinese who agreed least. As regards the fifth statement about owning the right things, the Americans agreed less strongly than the other two groups. It was the Chinese who agreed most strongly with this statement. I haven't been able to analyse all aspects of the study in this lecture, but it does suggest that the hypothesis is not supported by the data. It may be that the culture of the USA is more individualistic, whereas the Chinese culture is more collectivist or communitarian. However, it does not seem to support the global teenager hypothesis. As always, this is something on which we need to carry out more research.
Okay, guys, that's all for our material today about comparing cultures. I hope all of you got all the question correct, so you will get 100 point for this meeting. Okay, thank you so much. Let's close this meeting by reciting Hamdalah. Alhamdulillah Alamin. Thank you so much. See you around. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.